From the world's first football to goal line technology, today we're testing every invention that changed the game forever. And there's no way we couldn't include this first item.
The first item I've got that I believe changed football forever is the 1970 Telstar.
The Adidas Telstar was released for the 1970 World Cup, and it definitely had a massive impact on the game. The 1970 World Cup was the first to be televised globally, so this ball was made to stand out on black and white TVs. If you compare it to the brown leather balls that came before it, it's a lot easier to see on screen. It's since gone on to be the most iconic football design of all time and the universal symbol of a football.
Alright, now it's time to rank it, Cam. I don't think we can put it at changed football forever because a ball still existed before this.
Yeah, I'd say it's made a massive impact.
I'll agree with that, massive impact.
So the Adidas Telstar clearly made a huge impact on the game, but I think this next invention could beat it.
This next invention came in the 1890s and is arguably one of the most important on the list, and football definitely wouldn't be the same without it, and that is goal nets.
I mean, I didn't know there weren't goal nets, to be honest.
Goal nets were introduced to football in 1891, and it's hard to imagine football without them.
The inspiration for nets came in 1889 after a disallowed goal. The inventor John Alexander Brodie came up with a way of proving if a goal had been scored.
Now let's be honest, scoring a goal without nets just isn't the same. Seeing the net ripple is one of the best sights in football, but the question is, where do goal nets rank on our tier list?
This is fundamental. This is very important. What do you think?
I think it's got to be changed football forever.
Absolutely.
Without goal nets, you don't even know if the ball's gone over the line. It's got to be changed football forever.
So it was an easy decision to put goal nets in the top tier, but it's a little trickier deciding the impact of this next item.
Now Cam, this next invention isn't a physical item, but I think you'll agree it had a massive impact on the game, and that is goal line technology.
Goal line technology was introduced to football in 2013, and I want to do a little experiment to see just how important it is. So I'm going to set up a few scenarios and you have to make the referee's call of whether the ball crossed the line or not. We'll then cut to the goal line view and see if you made the right decision.
No.
Oh. So goal or no goal? That was a goal.
2-1, go. Oh, that was nice.
Goal or no goal? That was also a goal.
Oh, that was nice.
Final one. That was no goal. So harder than it looks, right? But the question is, how much has it changed football?
Now, goal line technology only affects football played at the highest level in stadiums like this. So when we're talking about overall impact on the game, there's only so high we can put it on the list.
I think for that reason, I'm going to say important.
I'll agree with that. Important.
So we've ranked goal line technology as important, but this next item has almost certainly made a bigger impact on the game.
My next invention for football, which I'm putting forward, I think this is actually one of the most important things we'll have today. It's not the most special to look at, but shin pads, and I'll tell you why. And these were made mandatory in the 1990s. You can't play football without them.
So I'm surprised it wasn't before the 1990s that these were being mandatory.
I think their impact from a safety perspective is immeasurable. These have saved so many injuries.
Literally prevented millions of injuries.
Yeah. For me, I'm going to say they've had a massive impact.
Really?
Yeah.
I was going to say just important. And I'll tell you why, because a lot of players these days are getting smaller and smaller shin pads, which might suggest it's not as important.
I'll agree with you then. We'll go important.
Important.
On reflection, I feel like we might have ranked that a little too low, but we're sticking with it. And next up, we have our first pair of football boots of the video.
But these are a game changer.
Wow.
The original Adidas Predator from 1994.
These are the original 1994 Adidas Predator football boots. They were like no boot anyone had seen before, with these exaggerated rubber fins specifically designed to add curve to the ball. But do they actually work?
So these boots obviously are famous for their curving ability. That's why they were made. So let's take some curve-free kicks and see how they do. Oh. It is definitely whipping. Boom.
These boots were one of the first examples of a massive advancement in football boot technology. Instead of football boots being seen as a necessity, they became a tool that can actually help you on the pitch. And since these, football boots have progressed massively. But where do they rank on the tier list?
I think these have had a massive, massive impact on the game.
It didn't just affect the top level of football, that everyone wears boots at all levels. We all have benefited from the innovation of these. So that's something to take into consideration as we rank it right now.
We've got to go massive impact.
Massive impact, I was going to say that. Are we overestimating it?
Maybe it's important. I don't know.
Massive impact.
So, massive impact for the Adidas boots, but this next invention is a little bit different.
Now, to test this next invention, I've come to one of the most important locations in football history.
This is Parker's Piece in Cambridge, and it's what many people call the home of modern football. And this is the location where this next invention was first put into place, and that is the Cambridge Rules, a set of 11 rules that are the backbone of modern football. And these are thought to be the first attempt of creating standardised football rules, and they went on to inspire the FA rulebook that we use today.
Before these rules, you were literally allowed to handle the football, so it's hard to argue there's many more inventions that change the game of football more than this. So the Cambridge Rules, it's got to be change the game forever.
It's the foundation of football, I agree.
So it was an easy choice to put the Cambridge Rules in change the game forever. Coming up, we test out what FIFA recognised as the first ever football, and an invention we all use but probably don't realise how much it actually changed the game. But next, we're testing out our second football of the video.
For this item, we have already had one in the list, but I'm going for another football for an invention that I think changed football forever, and that is the Adidas Team Guys from 2006. 14 panels, it was the roundest ball ever designed at the time, and it was thermally bonded, not stitched anymore.
I mean, it's one of the best footballs ever made. How did it change the game? So the Adidas Team Guys may have not changed the game as publicly as the Telstar did, but it changed how footballs were made, designed and performed.
The Team Geist was made using only 14 panels instead of the classic 32 panel design, and it was also thermally bonded. That meant it was rounder than ever before.
Literally no ball flies like the Team Geist, man.
And since this ball was introduced, no World Cup football has gone back to the classic 32 panel design, and probably won't for a long time yet.
So let's rank it. I don't think it's changed football as much as the Telstar.
No, definitely not.
No. And what was that massive impact?
Yeah.
I think it's got to be small impact though.
I'd say small impact.
So just a small impact for the Adidas Team Guys, but I think this next invention has been much more influential.
Right, I'm actually buzzing about this next one.
Okay.
I think it's top 5 or top 3 best inventions on this list.
Go on then.
All right, you ready?
Come on then.
It is AstroTurf.
Explain.
AstroTurf was invented in the 1960s, and it was used by clubs such as QPR in the early 80s. But by the 1990s, many top clubs had moved away from artificial turf as the players didn't like it, and to this day it's still rarely seen at the top level, but it's been used massively across training pitches, which is where I think it's had a massive impact on the game.
I think AstroTurf has increased the level of quality of football all year round, any weather.
See, I agree, but I also think grass is the roots of football. And at higher levels, all professional players will much prefer to play on grass than Astro. Football was born on grass. I'm not sure. I'm torn on this
Do you know
one.
what? I was convinced this was changed football forever, but you've actually kind of swayed me there.
I'd say this has got a small impact. Yeah,
I think massive impact.
We're split, mate.
Mate, we can't put this anything below massive impact.
Let's settle on important, surely.
Okay, we'll settle on important. I think this should be higher.
I do love AstroTurf. I just think...
So we're putting AstroTurf as important. Personally, I think that's too low, but let's see if we agree on this next invention.
Right, Cam, the next invention is a big one, goalie gloves.
Goalie gloves were introduced to football in the 1950s, and I think the best way to see how much these have changed the game is to actually speak to a keeper.
Tell you what, this would be a lot better than bare hands, which is what the old school goalies used to play with. These would have made such a big difference. Just that extra protection and a little bit more grip.
I think there's no denying these had a huge impact on the game. Where are we going to put them?
Well, they didn't not change football. Every goalkeeper wears them, has to wear them. Is it controversial if I say not much difference? I say small impact.
We can go with that if you want, mate. I think there's going to be some comments disagreeing with you, but...
I'm standing by it.
Okay.
Small impact.
Small impact it is.
So, just a small impact for goalie gloves. I'm sure there's some goalies out there that disagree with that, but this next invention is one I'm sure a lot of people expected to see on the list.
Now, this invention I had to put a lot of thought into this because I think it has had a significant impact on the game. But I think there's a lot of factors to weigh up. But anyway, the Adidas Jabulani, it's obviously a fan favourite on your channel. It's one of the most talked about and recognised footballs ever made.
It certainly made an impact on the 2010 World Cup. Since then, there's an argument to be made that brands made sure footballs were a lot more predictable in the future.
It sort of pushed footballs onto a more consistent path.
Realistically, we can't put it up there with goal nets or even the Adidas Telstar.
I'm going to say, it pains me, but small impact.
I think small impact is being very fair.
Yeah.
So, despite being one of the most famous footballs of all time, we only put it in small impact. But what about this next invention? Next up is red and yellow cards, which were introduced into football in the 1970 World Cup, and they were used as a way of overcoming language barriers and make on-field decisions clearer.
So yeah, let's rank them. Red and yellow cards, massive impact?
I'm saying change football forever.
Really?
Yeah.
So you think these change football as much as goal nets?
When you put it that way, maybe I'll just say massive impact.
Yeah, I think massive impact is a fair shout.
So we've put red and yellow cards near the top of the list, and next up we have our second pair of football boots of the video.
Right, next up we've got another pair of boots on the list, Cam. Ooh. That is a 1998 Mercurials.
Wow.
It's hard to find a pair of boots that change football more than this, in my opinion.
I think I'd probably agree with you. Like, similar to the Predators, these were the first of its kind.
The change of boots before and after these is very apparent. We've gone from classic leather boots to modern lightweight synthetic boots.
I think these have had a pretty big impact on the game.
Have they had more or less impact than the 1994 Adidas boots?
Oh.
That's the question.
As much as I love these boots, I'm probably leaning towards important.
I think important is a fair shout for these.
Next up, I've got something that's not a physical item, but it is technically an invention.
Right.
The knuckleball.
It's hard to know exactly when the knuckleball technique was first used, but it definitely became more popular in the late 90s and early 2000s when footballs became lighter and more aerodynamic. It certainly changed the game for goalkeepers, but where does it rank overall?
Put it this way, if the knuckleball didn't exist, how much different would football be today?
I don't think it would make any difference.
No, I don't think it would be much different. Right, this next invention, Cam, is one that I don't think you'll have seen before, but it is a Kuju ball.
What's a Kuju ball?
So, Kuju is a game that FIFA recognised as the first known form of football.
Players would keep the ball in the air and try and kick it into elevated nets to score points.
So this was before football?
2,000 years ago, mate, in ancient China. Honestly, I have no idea where to rank this because it's just, we're guessing, aren't we?
We are. Should we just go down the middle?
Important.
Important.
So important for the Kuju ball. And now it's time to see the final invention of the video.
Right, so the last invention that changed football for me is one that we can't test really, but I think we should have to agree on it, and that is VAR.
Yeah, I thought this was going to come up.
Similar to goal line technology, VAR only affects football played at the very highest level in stadiums like this, but its impact on the game can't be ignored.
So the ever controversial VAR was introduced to football in 2016, designed to assist referees with clear and obvious errors.
I don't think we can put it up there with goal nets or official rules.
I think we can.
Really?
Yeah. I don't want to, because I hate it, but I think it has.
Really? Football without goal nets, football without VAR.
At top level, they will not play a game of football if there is not VAR.
If we're talking top level, it's got to be change football forever.